Relatable characters. One of the things that makes characters likable is being able to relate to a character. Being able to relate to their day-to-day life and struggles makes it more possible to be immersed in the story, sucking us into the world of a new show. Relatable characters aren't my number one favorite trope in anime, but it's one of the simplest ways to get me to like a certain character, that relatability, especially characters that have social anxiety. Growing up, talking to others wasn't my strong suit. Whenever I was in a simple situation where I was talking to a stranger, my brain would go in complete panic mode while I would try to maintain a simple conversation. So when seeing characters with the same background, I'm like, damn, they just like me for real. When I think of these sort of characters, Komi from Komi Can't Communicate, Bocchi from Bocchi the Rock, and Tomoko from Watamote come to my mind. Though I haven't seen Watamote yet, so I can't talk about Tomoko. Komi and Bocchi both have struggles, but they're both portrayed in unique, different ways. Let's talk about Komi first. Komi struggles talking to people and has extreme social anxiety. Like really struggles, to the point where saying someone's name is a whole challenge for her. The series likes to use her social anxiety for comedic effect at points throughout the show, but it doesn't make it a complete joke, especially with the way the anime introduces it in episode 1. I love the first episode so much because it perfectly shows how her social anxiety looks from an outsider's perspective. It's also in that episode where she makes her first friend with Tadano and discovers her goal on making 100 friends. It might sound silly, but throughout the episodes we see her slowly but surely make more and more friends, along with some weird ones. But the anime isn't all jokes and lighthearted moments. It explores deeper moments, especially with Komi's relationship with Tadano. One of my favorite examples is in episode 4 when Tadano gets kidnapped by this yandere called Yamai. The reason for her kidnapping Tadano and literally tying him up in her closet was to get closer to Komi because Tadano was always with her. Thankfully, with the help of Najimi and Komi, he was rescued, with Komi telling Yamai she chooses her own friends. But because of all this, Komi was afraid something worse could have happened to him, and decided it would be best to not be friends with Tadano anymore. But he reminded her that he is able to choose his own friends too, and potential worse outcomes didn't matter to him because he wants to be friends with her no matter what. This makes Komi open up, and instead of her writing to him, she actually tells him that she wants to still be friends with her voice. This scene shows the more serious side of her social anxiety. Komi stated that it would be best if they weren't friends, but deep down she still really wanted to be friends with Tadano, and I think that is sweet. Thinking about the worst case scenario is something I'm sure almost everyone can relate to. The thought of being the reason why someone was put in danger makes it totally understandable for why Komi wanted to end her friendship. But what she failed to realize was that Tadano was a real friend and an amazing guy. Komi chooses her own friends, and it's the same with Tadano, and that was what made her realize what it's like to have an actual friend. I believe that's one great way Komi Can't Communicate portrays Komi's social anxiety. Now on to Bocchi. These two characters are pretty similar, but the biggest difference is how Bocchi the Rock portrays Bocchi's social anxiety. It's shown much more as a comedic effect and not taken as seriously. The show does have a few serious moments, however, but it's not as much as Komi Can't Communicate. I've heard people on the internet calling this show an unrealistic portrayal of social anxiety. I can understand why, because with the way Bocchi acts at times, you don't really see that in real life. But if you think a little deeper, I think it is. At least not in the way you might think. Yes, people don't glitch out or turn into dust, but what makes it relatable is more so the monologues. I'm sure you've all been in a situation where on the outside you look totally fine, but on the inside you're going through an existential crisis. It'd be like that sometimes. And Bocchi shows how someone could be feeling mentally through the way she acts physically, which makes her relatable in my opinion. Not in the more serious way as Komi, like I stated earlier. Bocchi the Rock uses it a lot more as humor and isn't the big focus in the anime. If I had to pick who I relate to more, I would say Bocchi without a doubt. Yeah, Komi is relatable too, but I don't struggle with talking to people to the point where I can't even hold a damn conversation. Bocchi struggles too, but they're both on completely different levels. I relate to her a lot, and not to mention the fact that we're both guitarists. Now, at the end of the day, these characters are purely fiction, and aren't 100% accurate representations of what social anxiety looks like. Everyone is different and unique in their own way. I may relate to these characters, but it doesn't mean they're exactly like me in every way. They relate to a small part of who I am, which is the same for all of you. I hope at least. We aren't 2D anime characters. But they are relatable, which makes them more likable. From a writing standpoint, Komi and Bocchi are both written pretty well in the ways they're intended to. Though I do think Komi Can't Communicate can feel a little repetitive after a while with some of the jokes and Komi's character, especially in the manga, but that's a video for another day. It's a slice of life anime at the end of the day, so it's not that big of a deal. In the end, Komi and Bocchi are both similar but different at the same time. One isn't better than the other, and one person might like one character more than the other, and that's okay. Some people connect to certain characters more than others, and some out there connect deeply to characters with social anxiety. They really are just like me for real. If you made it till the end of the video, thanks for sticking around. I'll make sure to check out Watamote at some point. Dr. Stone and the 100 Girlfriends have been pretty fire this season, and don't get me started on solo leveling. But anyways, subscribe if you want to see more, and Adachi out.